There has been groups of people out there that state the AR-15 is a poor design, it's outdated, and it does not handle the rigors of operating in an austere environment. Well, I say there are only a few select reasons on why an AR-15 will fail. The first reason is this. The military is notorious for having old, unserviceable magazines. A lot of the magazines still in use have probably been around since the 80s. And very few soldiers, airmen, sailors, and Marines actually take care of their magazines. These things, the springs are old, the floor plates are old, the followers are old, and the magazine is the weak link in any self-loading design. If the magazine is bad, the whole rifle is bad. Period. So if you get a bad magazine in an AR-15, guess what? That AR-15 will fail. Another big reason I've seen AR-15s fail is lack of discipline as far as keeping it lubed. That is the biggest reason right there. If you run an AR-15 dry, you will have malfunctions. Period. Maybe the first 100 rounds you won't notice much, but after that, as that carbon buildup gets all gunked up in the bolt carrier group area, because this, as you know, I'm not really talking about the piston ARs, I'm talking about the standard AR-15 design, which is a direct impingement design. It pretty much craps where it eats. So all the gases blow right back into the bolt carrier group here, and there you go. After a few hundred rounds, you've got a lot of crud in there. If you do not have lubrication, it will start to malfunction, period. You have to lubricate that bolt. A happy AR bolt is a wet AR bolt. And there'll be some people that'll say, well, in dusty environments and dirty environments, the CLP or whatever oil you choose to use will just attract dirt and whatnot. Well, think about that statement. You can get dirt in this area, and I have. And a lot of times if you're firing this gun a lot, you're just not too worried about closing that dust cover after every burst of fire. So you will maintain, you will get some dirt coverage right here and dust coverage. But look at the design itself. Don't parrot what other people say without actually looking at the design itself. If you look at the design, other than right here, there isn't really many avenues for a lot of dust and dirt to get into. Now, of course, if you're walking around without a magazine, of course, you have another avenue right there. But if you're in a field environment, most likely you're going to have a magazine inserted. And if you're not using the rifle, you're going to close the dust cover. So that severely limits how much dust and dirt you can get into this rifle. Now, CLP oils, they do attract a little bit, but the benefits greatly outweigh the downfalls of running a lot of lube. You may attract a little bit of dust and dirt, but you know what? I've personally run my duty issue M4 so dirty where I could rub the bolt face right here and just fling a bunch of crud onto the ground that came off of the bolt. I've pulled the bolt out of my M4 before, and just so much crud that I just run my finger through and it's literally almost running off my finger. There's just so much nasty carbon, crud, and just all kinds of gunk in there. But because I kept the bolt lubricated, and it doesn't take much to lubricate the bolt, honestly. It really doesn't. Got the couple little holes right here. While you're operating the rifle, you don't even need to take it apart. All you have to do is squirt a little bit in those two holes, and then maybe squirt just a little bit of line right back in here. And the cycling of the bolt is going to work that CLP all over. The reason you squirt in those two little holes is so that way you can get the actual bolt in here, because that is one of the problem areas. That's where a lot of carbon buildup is. So you want to get a lot in there, and then of course circulate it along the bolt carrier group, the channel in there, and you'll be good to go. So remember, lube it up. And if you're not using it, well, just reduce the avenues of approach for the dust and dirt to get in. Now, another reason why AR-15s fail is lack of proper maintenance. In the military, okay, these guns are high-use guns. In the civilian world, honestly, this DPMS that I have, I put a decent amount of rounds through it, but honestly, I probably never have to worry about changing the extractor spring or anything like that, or the buffer spring or anything, at least for an extremely long time. High-use rifles in the military, that's not the case. The military is known for cannibalizing stuff, and the Air Force is notorious for this. They'll take parts from old rifles and keep using them and using them and using them until they literally just break in half. It's just the way it is. It's part of, just managing your resources, budgets, all that good stuff. But the Air Force is notorious for it. So there's a good chance I could pick up a rifle that might have a bolt carrier in there that's like 20 damn years old. There's always a chance. And that bolt carrier, the springs are also 20 years old, and they're used and abused because people sometimes like to treat their ARs like crew-served weapons, and just they wear the parts out. But in any case, those springs, like the extractor spring, that's one thing you got to pay attention to. If you got a 20-year-old bolt and the extractor spring is just worn out, guess what? You're going to have malfunctions. And unfortunately, not a lot of people, at least from what I've seen, not a lot of people do proper inspections like they should. And if they do a proper inspection, they don't sit there and bang their fist on the floor or on the table and go, hey, I got a bad spring or whatever, I need a new one. So that's another key thing. If you don't properly maintain your weapon and keep it in serviceable condition, it's not going to function. Now, the reason I'm making this video is just to kind of show a couple of things and to basically say this: any weapon you have, whether it be shotgun, rifle, pistol, you have to maintain it. You have to maintain it correctly. You have to keep it clean if you want it to run for a good long time. That's just the way it is. The AR-15 is pretty much no exception. The design itself is a very solid design, but the design will fail if you don't maintain it properly. And it doesn't take much to maintain it. People will complain, oh, you have to spend all this time cleaning it, and you have to do all this and do all that. It's very labor intensive. No, it's not. It really isn't. Again, a lot of people would be surprised at how gunked up these things can get, and they will still function. Because they say it's tight tolerances, but honestly, it's not extremely tight tolerances in here. It's actually pretty loose tolerances if you think about it from a machining standpoint for that bulk to work back and forth. There's actually quite a bit of room in there. You can get quite a bit of grime in there and still have a good functioning gun. And a lot of people just don't know that because they've never, taken their ARs out and got it that dirty. So in any case, just wanted to make this video to talk about a few things on the AR. The AR itself is very reliable. You just have to look at the design, know how to maintain the design, and know how to clean the design and keep it clean, keep it functional. Again, you also have to know how to look at the weak points, which I'm going to drive this point home. This is the weak point in the AR. The old surplus 20-year-old magazines that have been dropped and kicked around and not maintained good, the followers are all jacked up or the springs kind of jacked up. These things can cause failures. Magazines are something, if you're looking at the rifle, inspecting your rifle, a lot of people forget the magazine. That's the most important part right there. If that magazine doesn't work, your rifle's going to fail, period. So alright, that's enough. I'm rambling on. Thanks a lot for watching, and keep it safe.